Mark is really ripping on that guitar solo, man.
Who picks the music?
Whatever's free, baby.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Very limited.
I love it. It's awesome. The first time he had it on, I'm like dancing. Like,
I did the Batusi the first time.
yes.
It was incredible.
Maybe we'll have a chance to play the Guilty Pleasures.
I think, Mike, you should switch to the live cameras next time. Like, start like you're playing the video, but then switch to the live cameras and keep the music going.
God.
I'm telling you, Joe and I are winning that Jackrabbit Slims twist contest. You wait.
Oh, God.
So anyways, good evening, everybody. It's 9 o'clock on a Friday, somewhere close. It's time for What's on Joe Mind. You're in the TeamStream. It is Old Home Week as our old co-host Carson Mataxis is with us from 3DJoes. This week, you can see him there in the presidential suite of the Motel 5 in Orlando, Florida.
It's the Hilton. This whole floor smells like weed. Every time I step off the elevator, swear to God, get a contact buzz. I'm like,
hey, man.
Oh my God.
That's why they call.
I'm here to work. You know.
That's why they call it the happiest place on earth, right?
I guess. I guess.
And of course, Mike Irizarry joining us are the regulars, the honcho Mark Weber, former head of marketing for the G.I. Joe brand at Hasbro.
Whatever. And
of course, the queen of G.I. Joe cosplay, Joe Colton, is with us.
Hi, everybody.
There she goes.
Being as disruptive as she normally is.
It's my thing.
That was an interactive blowing you a kiss, Joe. Mwah! Right there. Yep.
Anyway.
Mike, you want one? Oh, wrong direction. It's backwards.
Right.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Wait a minute. There it is. Okay, I threw you one.
This whole Brady Bunch thing is really hard to get.
You guys have stepped it up since you had me on the show, though. Seriously, like the production quality, I'm digging what you guys are doing these days. So good job. Seriously.
I told you back when you joined, man. I was trying to.
I know, but you were trying to make me figure out how to do it, and I was like, I already do this stuff for a living. Like, I don't want to.
I don't need to figure it out.
I wasn't
figure out this other video thing, and I'm like,
I wasn't trying to make you do it. I was asking for ideas.
That's basic.
I mean, really, like when I said that I knew nothing about any of this stuff.
Yeah,
I think you overestimated what I meant by nothing.
I'm so proud to look at you guys now, though. Like you got it all figured out, and you definitely stepped up the quality, man.
That's
we went to live streams, which was good, and then we went to the StreamYards, right? And then now, like, Mike is like guru, and he's got like a logo, and he's got like the little icon, and he changes the YouTube pin or whatever it's called.
I'm not responsible for the logo. The logo was done by George Greeno, longtime friend of the show.
No, but you put it on the backdrop of the four, like it's.
Oh well, you know.
Yeah.
That's just what StreamYard lets us do. So.
Yep.
But anyways, we're brought to you as we are every week by the folks at StreamYard and at Kokomo Toys. So, sing with me the theme song, Kokomo Kokomo, Kokomo Toys. Kokomo
Toys. I do every third word like the Beastie Boys. It's awesome.
And you know, if you're watching at home, if you're live, go ahead and like our video, subscribe to our channel if you're not. Most of the folks who watch us actually are subscribed. I'm really proud of everybody for that. That really helps us out a lot. But like that video, that helps us get in the rotation here at YouTube. If you're watching us on Facebook, then go ahead and hit the little like react there too, and that helps us get in the rotation at Facebook. Just go ahead and do that now. Don't wait till later.
And share it to your pages, and better yet, share it to the groups so they know that this live stream is going on. Over the last week, I've had a dozen people ask me, hey, man, did you record that panel? And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I didn't. And I mean, honestly, like, now's a chance to, if you were sorry you missed the panel, share this with your friends, and hopefully people that wanted to see it will at least get some of the information. I don't have all the props and everything here with me that I did last weekend, but I'll give you the rundown.
Right. We'll let it go.
Yeah.
So we're going to switch things up a little bit this week because Carson is out on assignment and still joining us anyway. Take notes, Joe Colton.
Oh, smack.
I just got real.
So anyways, Carson is on the road and working this weekend. So we're going to let him go first so then he can go to bed and then because he's got to be up super early in the morning to get up and do it all over again on Saturday.
I'm really most excited about getting a shower. I'm down in steamy Orlando right now. And so 2 days of video production in the field in steamy Orlando it's pretty sticky down here.
It means that the entire city smells like balls is what that means.
Or marijuana.
Weed. Yeah.
And you got to hope with ball. You got to cope with ball smell somehow. No, so to help Joe Colton out, that means that what it smells like, anyways.
Uh-oh.
Too far. We went too far.
Right.
Losing the audience, Mike.
The habitual line stepper. There's a line.
I mean, if she had remembered to unmute her mic, we'd have probably heard something back from her.
Like a fuck.
Oh, I was going to say she's saving money because she knows the curse jar isn't that full.
Oh.
So every time I swear, Carson, money goes in the jar, and people have to like support her coffee.
So much for being featured on the YouTube Kids channel.
Right.
No, we're educational. We're teaching them all new words.
Okay.
Professor Colton is in the building.
The swear jar is, of course, brought to us by our good friends at All the Cool Stuff. Because they're British, they know all about all the good swears. And you can help Joe Colton support the swear jar as well by visiting our coffee page. You can catch the link for that down below as well. You want to help Joe Colton out? You want to buy Joe Colton out of the swear jar? Coffee page.
The money coming.
Thank you if you've already done that, by the way.
Yes.
So Carson, let's before we change subjects again.
Yep.
Tell us all about your Joe Fest experience.
Oh boy. Well, so I took my dad to the 101st Airborne reunion last week, and it started out with looking at the display of like 12,000 troops, and we had Apache flybys, and it was just an amazing week with my dad. But that was in Kentucky, and he had a reunion dinner that Thursday night. So I didn't get to come in until Friday, and I had to drive down from Kentucky to Augusta. So I got in late. I got in at like 10 p.m. and then I cranked on my panel presentation until like 2 a.m. So nobody saw me until Saturday. And basically Saturday morning was when I was presenting. So I basically came in like down to the wire, right? And there was one presenter before me, Michael French, and he's retro blasting. And he had a sidekick with him, and his sidekick was hilarious. Does anybody know who Michael French's sidekick is? No. I need a sidekick. So I'm going to put the request out there to the community. 3DJoes needs a sidekick for panel presentations that has like that witty banter back and forth rapport that Michael French had with whoever.
Who is the guy who had the Cobra glider?
Oh, that's my buddy Joe. Yeah, Joe Colston. No, he's awesome, but I don't think he wants to put himself like in front of a panel of people. You know what I mean?
He's witty though. Joe's witty.
Joe's witty when he's drinking, and Joe's great. I just don't know if Joe wants to sit at the front of a panel and go back and forth with me. Maybe he would. I have
a plan. So when we did Finest House, we just got him drunk, dressed him up, and he went. So like, just don't tell him. Get him drunk, sit him next to you at the panel, and then let him go.
For whoever has not seen the Finest House series, it's where a bunch of the finest costumers got together and just got obliterated for a weekend in costume and mostly stayed in character. Like Falcon was the creepy guy hitting on everybody.
Yep.
Joe was Joe Cobra. And he was just like this really socially awkward guy that couldn't wear his mask right. It was just, I think he had just been recruited by Cobra.
Yeah, he was new and he didn't know what to do and he wanted to go home.
Yeah, he was funny, man. He was a highlight of the Finest House series. So yeah, Joe's definitely got potential. Joe, if you're watching, I don't know if you are, and if you want to do the next panel with me, we should try that out because I thought Michael French and his little sidekick were amazing.
You had somebody in the house right there.
Do you want to be a sidekick, Mark?
Right. I'm pretty much built to be a sidekick, right? Everybody's looking for a 6'2" pasty redhead to not steal the show, right?
I mean, it worked for Andy Richter for how many years?
Right? I could totally do his job.
So Michael French, like, I guess he didn't need a projector, but my whole presentation, like, I needed a projector. I had built this keynote slide presentation the night before. I was up till 2 a.m. working on this thing, so I definitely needed a projector. I came up there an hour early figuring, hey, I'm early. I'm an hour early. I'm good. There was no projector. And I you know what I'm saying. I was on a little bit of sleep and I had been running hard and I was like, God, where am I? And so I went running around the building and found the very nicest door guy, David. And he was, checking people at the door. That's why I call him the door guy. I'm sure his title's more important than that. But anyway, he went and found the projector, still mint in the box, never been opened, never removed from box projector. So we go running up to the room and I take it out and I'm putting it together and I'm hooking it up to my laptop. And the whole time I'm trying not to interrupt Michael French because he's up there giving his presentation. He didn't care. He didn't need a projector. So I'm sitting there trying to set this stuff up. And I literally, this is all my video gear. I had all this out in the car, ready to go. I was going to do a multi-camera shoot of my panel with like wireless audio and DSLR camera, zoom lenses. I was ready. And I had Joe and Jim ready to shoot for me. They were going to sit there and man the cameras. And literally by the time I got this projector hooked up, it was like 20 minutes to go until the presentation. And I was like, I could run out to the car and try to grab everything and set it up, but then I'm just going to be stressed out and sweaty by the time it's time for the panel. So I ended up not shooting the panel. Yeah, it is what it is. So anyway, luckily, I think, Mark, you were in the room. How did you think it went, man?
I mean, I didn't get to see all of it because I was taking care of some other things in the morning. But what I saw, it went over huge, right? So
it felt amazing.
Not only was nobody else doing anything like this right now, but nobody's ever done anything like this ever. So yeah, it was what the young marketers like to call blue water. Right.
Nice.
We want to be in the blue water. We don't want to be in the red water. So
right.
Yeah, it was big time.
It's just, to me, it's a confluence of events. I've been at this archiving thing for 9 years now, and over the course of 9 years, I've met a lot of the people that created this stuff along the way, and we've been slowly and steadily building these creator profile pages where we have hours of interviews and, dozens and dozens of pre-production sketches and presentation art and unadorned package art and process documents and memos and letters and turnaround sculpt sheets and just everything. So we've been working on establishing these relationships and like strengthening these relationships. And who's got some video games on?
Yeah, somebody left something down here. I'm going to go take care of it. Hang on.
Okay. All right, Mark, you grab it. All right. So while you're doing that, I'm going to pull up a screen share. I'm going to do my best to do justice to this presentation, but y'all understand I'm not at the front of a boardroom. I don't have all my Joe family around me. And I really fed off that stuff last weekend. Seeing everybody's reaction in the crowd and vibing off of them was absolutely amazing. And there's no way I can replicate that. And I don't have the physical props to show you, so that's a limiting factor too. But I'll try to recap what I did last weekend. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. Before you show anything, for the folks at home who were not connected to Joe Fest at all, give the 2-sentence synopsis of your project.
All right. 3DJoes is a website that archives G.I. Joe. Collecting the Art of G.I. Joe is a book series that documents every single piece of painted art from 1982 to 1994. I sold through those books 2 years ago. But we're not lame. We don't want to just hit reprint and make more copies of what we've already done. We want to do it better. And so one of the ways that we wanted to do it better was add a ton of creator profile, creator interviews to it to add a bunch more content, bunch more stories of the people that helped make this stuff. And so that was kind of the birth of this project. I don't want to spoil it by giving it away. I'm going to walk you through kind of the sequence. Hang on one second.
Okay.
All right. Window, presentation, share, play. All right. Is that full screen for you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. So I'm naming this Operation Recall. The reason it's Operation Recall is in the military, you can recall any soldiers that have retired from duty in times of, dire domestic need. You can call them back. And so basically, I had created this book series. I had sold out of this book series. It's Collecting the Art of G.I. Joe. I'll skip the little animation there. Actually, I'll show the animation. It's pretty cool. I worked hard on it.
Yeah, man, that's sexy.
So this is the slipcase, and the slipcase holds all 6 books. So there's the 6 books. Fate, catching up to you. All right, so basically, that book series was a huge success, man. The last Kickstarter, we raised $47,000 in 2 weeks. We printed Volume 5 and Volume 6 and the slipcase. The slipcase was a $17,000 slipcase. I made 1,000 of them, $17 a piece, and we just gave them away to every backer. Every single backer got a free slipcase. It took about 1.5 years to sell the leftover books, which is exciting, but it also kind of sucks because 3DJoes, we don't have any ad revenue. And that was kind of how I was offsetting the expenses for everything associated with the website, right? So from selling out, though, from an ending comes a beginning. I'm like, okay, well, what do we want to do next? We're going to make a hardcover. The reason we started with a soft cover, it made sense. We had to test the waters and make sure that collecting the art of G.I. Joe was something that people wanted. We didn't want to do it's about 400 to 500 hours of work per book. So if you think of that, doing 6 books, it's well over a couple thousand hours worth of work. So we didn't want to bite all that off in one chunk. And each book cost about $10,000 to produce. And like I said, the slipcase was 17. So if you think of that, that's $77,000 that we would have had to raise out of the gate. There was no way. So we did it bit by bit. And that's why we ended up with the softcover deliverable. So what we're doing now is an omnibus hardcover. And there's 3 ways that it's going to be improved. We've already actually done this work, me and Chad Huckle, who's helped me on a tremendous amount of Photoshop work ever since like volume 2. We've already remastered. We've reshot every photo, rescanned every box, re-photoshopped everything to bring it up to a higher standard of restoration, basically through nicer photography technology using HDR, high definition photography that combines multiple exposures to get the optimal exposure across the card. Better focus on the figures, better exposure on the figures. The card art is pristine. So we've already done that work. We're also adding unadorned artwork, much more unadorned artwork. This is from original paintings that I've been able to collect multiple original paintings. My friends at Joe Declassified have shared some, a bunch of Kodachromes, which are the original transparencies, high resolution transparencies. So a ton of that stuff. And then expanded interviews with these guys that we've become good friends with. Kirk Kazigian, brand manager, Ron Rudat, figure designer, Ed Morrill, packaging manager from 1969 to 1989, Bob Prupis, vice president of Boys Toys, Doug Hart, internal painter at Hasbro that took over when Ed Morrill and Hector Garrido, basically when their contract was basically eliminated in the late 80s. I'll get into that more later probably. They brought that work in-house, and Doug Hart was the primary painter from 1988-ish through to 1994. Bill Merkline was the sculptor that his first figure was Retelo. Or excuse me, not Retelo. That's a spoiler alert. His first figure was Recondo. His first figure was Recondo. So he was hired in 1983 to do Recondo, who came out in 84. And he worked on the brand up through figures that came out in 1990. So he eventually did around 70 figures is what me and Peter Hubner have been able to nail down. So all these guys are friends of the website and were willing to contribute interviews and wanted their stories kind of included. And some were already included, but we wanted much, much, much more context from these guys. But so I'm going to skip through, remastered art. We already reshot and re-edited everything. This is a previous Zap on the left and the updated Zap on the right. You'll be able to see the primary changes you'll see are in the resolution, clarity, focus, exposure on the figure. And then the card art is actually cleaner too. What we've done here, which is insane, is we're taking the photo of Zap and we're taking a scan of the card back of Zap from an entirely different card back and combining those 2 source files to make the optimal restored image. Do you guys understand what I'm saying there? It's a crazy process. But look at the results. Like the results on the right are so much crisper and cleaner. So big shout out to Chad Huckle for helping me with a tremendous amount of that work. Unadorned artwork, these are a couple examples of the Kodachromes that I was telling you about, the high resolution transparencies that they used to share and replicate. There's an example of the collector's case that came out, and you get a shot there, a close-up of Snake Eyes, which shows you the resolution that's available from these high-resolution transparencies. The Tyco train art and the Tyco trucking art, I actually had a guy that used to work at Tyco that reached out to me, had found these paintings and then searched for the train set and found the documentation we'd done on 3DJoes and was so happy with it. He was like, look, man, you seem like the guy that like seems to care about this stuff. He was like, what would you do with these paintings? I was like, well, if you want to sell them to the community, I'll help you do that. We can put it up on the 3DJoes Facebook page, no charge, no fees. But if you also just want to sell it straight out, I'll buy it from you personally. And so he was like, sure, man, I'm happy to do that. You obviously care about this stuff. And so I just purchased these paintings personally, and they're beautiful. They're gorgeous. They're huge. They're huge paintings. I think they're over 3 feet by, I'd say 2.5 feet. They're amazing. They're beautiful, large paintings, super saturated, really colorful. I actually tracked down who one of the illustrators was. There's a signature on the train track in the back left corner. It's an artist pseudonym called Bart Doe. Spoiler alert, I'm going to put artist little breakout profiles on each painter that I've identified that's worked on the brand for the omnibus, and that was not a part of the softcover series. So that's another way that we're going to try to improve and just add more information. Then you got stuff like this that people have never seen. Like, I guarantee 99.9% of G.I. Joe fans have not seen this unadorned and uncropped artwork that was created for the 1990 Walmart file cards. Are you guys familiar with that file card set that they made to basically butter up the Walmart executives?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We are, but go ahead again. Give the 2-sentence synopsis for the folks watching.
So this is a very rare trading card set that was created and distributed only through Walmart. The only way that you could get this was grab it off the wall in the break room in Walmart, basically. So they printed hundreds or maybe even thousands of these sets, but they literally only got distributed through Walmart, through employees. You could not buy this. This was not retail. And all that you saw on those file cards in terms of this artwork was the little cropped file card box. Like every other G.I. Joe file card, it didn't show you the full art. It just showed you a little close-up of it. So it turns out that they created full-size paintings that nobody ever got to saw. Nobody ever got to see these. It wasn't like it was a full card back with a bubbled figure attached to it that you could purchase at retail, right? So this is like one of those pre-production artifacts that's just like super rare and kind of amazing to see all these years later. This is 2 of the 6, obviously, and then there's a third one that I've sourced out in California, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to secure that before we go to print the hardcover. But it's that kind of like pre-production and unadorned art stuff that I'm working very hard to secure to make sure that this book is as interesting as possible, to show you guys stuff that hopefully you've never seen before. This is another example of an underwater set that was created and they tried to sell it as a store exclusive, similar to the Dino Hunters. I believe that this was created around 1992 to 1993. My rationale for that is if you look at Shipwreck at the top, it's similar to the 1994 Shipwreck design, but not quite. They obviously kept refining that figure, and then he was released as a single-carded figure in 1994. And if you look at Deep Six that's underwater there, they ended up releasing that exact color deco as a mail-order figure in 1993. And then the Dolphin came from the Eco Warriors Deep Six that was, I believe, 1992. So I think this was a concept they came up with around 1992, maybe 1993, and they ended up not selling it, not making it for whatever reason. And so they just took the Deep Six that they already had in the works, made him a mail order figure, took Shipwreck, kept working on him, and made him a carded figure in 94. So there's a lot of kind of unadorned artwork for things that you guys, hopefully that you guys haven't seen. This is another example. This is 1995 Duke, who was going to have the forest, kind of jungle fatigue colors. And this would have been the same mold that was created for the 1992 or 1993 Duke that was more desert BDUs. I believe he was going to be the driver of the Sea Lion, which is the recolored killer whale that we have all seen the box art for. Anyway, so just examples of unadorned artwork that show off things that hopefully people haven't seen before, and we'll have stories to go along with those. So the other thing was new interviews. Obviously, like I said, over the years, I've formed many friendships with the creators of this stuff, and I just want to work more of their stories into this. And sit-down interviews are boring, though. So I was really wondering, what can we do different that's more experiential? So I had the big idea. Here's the big idea, Mike. You asked for this probably 7 minutes ago. If you had to give me a 2-sentence synopsis, what the heck are you doing? I'm finally to that point, Mike.
All right.
So the big idea was, what if I got the old band back together and we made one more figure? So Operation Recall is calling back to active duty all of the retired creators of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, to make one more G.I. Joe. So that's the elevator pitch if I had to give it. So one section of the upcoming hardcover will document the creation of an all-new figure, from concept sketches to presentation art to final package art. We've even sculpted the figure and the accessories. It's been an amazing process, and we filmed it all. We've literally filmed over 30 hours worth of footage for this thing. I've been running around ever since I got vaccinated. We had these interviews planned February, March of last year, and then COVID hit. We were going to be shooting this in April of last year. And obviously, these gentlemen, we all wanted to be cautious, right? And so as soon as the vaccine was worked out, and as soon as I was vaccinated, and as soon as they all felt safe hanging out with me, we hit the ground running. We actually started before then. Ron Rudat's son, Tristan, is also a videographer. I mailed him my gear, audio gear, video gear, and gave him questions and had him shoot Ron's part of the process because Ron comes first. Ron Rudat is the figure designer. He was the primary figure designer for G.I. Joe from 1982 through 1986. And he also designed vehicles and decals and books. And the Cobra logo, like, this guy's freaking huge. Everybody knows Ron at this point. The thing about this project is it's going to introduce you to people that hopefully you don't know and people that you should know, you know? So that's one of the exciting parts of the documentary premise of this, is that you'll get to hang out with those people. You'll get to hear their voices. You'll get to see their faces. You'll get to watch them in action. And a lot of these people, unfortunately, still aren't widely known by the community. And this project kind of seeks to rectify, in my mind, that issue. So Ron Rudat, figure designer, here's him in his office. There he is with a black and white piece of line art working on my figure design. And here he is with the final presentation art, putting the color in on it. Kirk Bazigian, everybody knows Kirk Bazigian. He is probably the single most impactful person on G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. He worked on the brand from, getting it up and running and reborn in 1982 all the way through 1994. He took off and did Hasbro Direct and Hasbro Baby and some other stuff, Play School Baby, and worked on some other brands. But, from 1982 to 1986, maybe 1989 to 1994, hugely impactful on the brand. So Kirk Bazigian would work with Ron Rudat in the early years. So everybody you guys know, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Duke, Scarlet, Baroness, all those popular characters that they're still making movies about to this day. Ron and Kirk were the primary people responsible for those. And they're the primary people that we've documented creating this one additional figure. So here's what Kirk did to Ron's original artwork. This is the kind of markup. And Kirk still got it to this day. And I was really curious to see, what's the dynamic going to be between Kirk and Ron all these years later, right? And they were great. They were totally collegial. And Kirk was not, Kirk isn't just a supervisor type guy. He is an idea guy. It was amazing to see the wheels turning in his head and see the ideas that he came up with. And he absolutely made this concept so much better, from really practical stuff. See how he's got a flare gun in his left hand? Mm-hmm. See how he didn't have a holster on his left thigh, right? It's simple details. Okay, so where does that flare gun go when you put it away? So add a holster, that type of stuff. But then also buying into the concept of the character and making the concept better. So the concept of the character is basically, spoiler alert, this is something that I pitched to Hasbro in 1989. And I still have the original letter where I pitched it. And I actually have the Hasbro rejection letter where they very nicely rejected the pitch.
How old were you in 1989, Carson?
I was 10 years old, man. I was 10 years old. I don't think, let me skip through here really quick. I don't think I even included that in the slide deck. That stuff's not even in the slide deck. And this is the kind of thing, when you're dealing with a crowd and you're getting feedback from them and you can see what they respond to, I totally took a left and decided to go ahead and share with them the what I showed in 1989. Do you guys want to see it?
Sure.
Yeah. Carson, I've never seen a rejection letter from Hasbro.
Well, you're about to see one. I mean, I'm just really glad that I kept this. You know what I mean? It was pretty crazy. Of course, I never thought 30 years later I'd be running an archive dedicated to G.I. Joe, and that this pitch from 1989 would lead to a documentary project where I'm getting to work with all the original creators to actually bring this idea to life. That is a crazy story. And I never would have thought that that's where my life would lead me. And it just has. I keep putting passion into this and it keeps opening doors for me, basically, is the short story of it. So anyway, dear president of G.I. Joe, hi, my name is Carson. So it's 10-year-old me asking them to please make this guy. He's a radio teletype operator. He comes with a carrier pigeon. His code name is Retelo because he's radio teletype operator. And his carrier pigeon is CP, whatever. It's not special. I'm 10 years old. Give me a break. But he's special forces because
we're holding you to it, man. We're holding you to every bit of it.
It stayed pretty consistent, though. His specialty is special forces, and you'll see some stuff later that indicates that he's still special forces. The birthplace is Fort Riley, Kansas, where I was born. And then I wrote the file card, and of course I did all the designs, and I showed Hasbro where they could reuse Flint's arms, and they could use Beachhead's crotch and Hawk's legs.
What is 10-year-old you?
Wait a minute.
This is 10-year-old me.
Beachhead's crotch?
Yeah, but I didn't want to say crotch like as a 10-year-old. I thought that was off color. So I actually drew the crotch right here.
I'm just saying, Beachhead is kind of famous for one thing, right?
Oh, is he famous for his crotch?
Yeah, it breaks all the time.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Okay. But yeah, so, I spelled out the other pieces that they would need to make that would need to be unique. I even drew out the little inside pieces. You see that, like the O-ring and the T-hook and the screws and stuff. I was a crazy 10-year-old. This psychosis started really early. So anyway, so he's a satellite communications officer, SATCOM, whatever that means. But here's the nice rejection letter. It started very nice. We're most flattered to receive your letter. And then they only had a little bit of legalese at the end. We have neither copied nor reviewed your materials, basically. So if they come out with something similar, I can't say, oh, they stole my idea. So anyway, I got that rejection letter from them. I did end up, like a couple years later, making a steel brigade called Retelo. So he kind of got made, but not really. So anyway, that's the 1989 childhood Carson connection. So I ended up showing that in the panel, and that was a lot of fun. I think people enjoyed that part of it. So Kirk Bizigian marked up the concept, and that's just behind the scenes, me filming with Kirk. So Ed Morrill, a lot of people don't know Ed, and he had a hugely influential relationship with Hasbro. He was brought in 1969 to help relaunch or rebrand G.I. Joe as Adventure Team in 1970 for Toy Fair. And that was the start of a handshake relationship with Stephen Hassenfeld that lasted 20 years. From 1969 to 1989, his production packaging agency worked with Hasbro exclusively on toys. They did all other kinds of consumer packaged goods, but they only worked on toys for Hasbro. And that was because of a handshake deal with Stephen Hassenfeld. They did Transformers packaging, Visionaries, and of course, G.I. Joe. He hired Don Stivers in the 70s and managed him on all the packages. He hired Hector Garrido 1982, 81, and managed Hector Garrido throughout the 80s for all the packaged artwork that's still getting mileage to this day. So Ed Morrill is a guy to know. He's a guy that we should know and that we should celebrate. So anyway, I've known Ed for several years now. He's come down to North Carolina. I took him to his first Duke game at Cameron Indoor. We're good friends. He came to my wedding. We've had a really good relationship over the last several years. He's a super smart guy. And again, I just respect the heck out of all these guys that helped make this timeless brand that was so influential in our childhood that we still celebrate it to this day. So he helped with the 1982 relaunch, the generation of an entirely new kind of brand and logo, black backgrounds, explosions, characters popping off the explosions, 2D tilted flat G.I. Joe logo, 3D 1986 extruded logo, digital background explosions. All that stuff came from his production company working in partnership with Hasbro's internal packaging folks. Matt Lysak is the name that comes up the most in terms of leadership there. So Ed Morrill, we got 4 hours worth of interviews with him. He did the packaging sketches for the layout for this character. He did 4. We've got footage of him for an hour talking through the 4 different sketches he did and what his thought process was and why he did things a certain way. And what most people don't know is that he created these thumbnail sketches for Hector Garrido, for Hector to execute on. He kept them really loose so that Hector could have a lot of say in how the details came together, but he wanted to make sure that each package on the shelf had a really unique appearance and wasn't going to be confused with another figure that was on the shelf. And he wanted to accentuate the best accessory or the best feature of that character. So he really mulled over our character and gave it a lot of thought, and I'm excited to share that kind of stuff. So Doug Hart was the packaging illustrator, again, that I mentioned earlier that took over for when they brought it back in-house internally in Hasbro. Doug Hart was the man to take it over. And again, he really made the brand his own. By the early 90s, you'll see it shift away from Doug Hart kind of emulating what Hector Garrido was doing and evolving the style into something entirely his own, where he was using a lot more of photo reference and creating much more photorealistic portraiture on the faces. So a lot of much more believable kind of expressions and faces. Like when you see Sonic Fighter's Law, you see Kirk Bizigian's face because he shot photos of Kirk Bizigian and he painted it how he saw it, right? So yeah. Doug Hart made this brand his own. He was no longer kind of walking in Hector's shadow. He was definitely doing his own work, and it was exemplary in and of itself. So that's Doug Hart, and he's created the all-new package painting for this figure. There's some photo reference. I have some photos that I can show you guys from some photos from the panel. And so then we'll move on. Bill Merkline was the sculptor that I introduced. he started again with Recondo. He's also famous for sculpting holograms back in the 80s. I don't know if you guys know this. When holograms came out, they had to be sculpted at a 1-to-1 scale. Did anybody know that?
No, go ahead.
All right. Have you guys had a Visa card in your wallet at any time that had a dove on it?
Yes.
The hologram dove. So he sculpted the Visa hologram. It's crazy. Like at a 1-to-1 scale, that tiny little dove, he sculpted that thing. There was a National Geographic magazine that like unveiled holograms to the world. And of course they did a bald eagle on there. He's the one that sculpted the bald eagle for National Geographic. Like he's a very, very renowned hologram miniature sculptor who also broke into toys and did everything from G.I. Joe to Cops, Mr. T, Dungeons and Dragons, all the holograms on Visionaries. He did all those. And he sculpted 70 G.I. Joes. So he's an amazing guy. I spent 2 weeks with him, 14 days, basically, living in the guest bedroom, eating dinner with him every night, sculpting during the day, listening to these amazing stories. He's super smart, super intellectual. He's into guns and airplanes and military history and movies. And we talked about it for 2 weeks and it never got boring. Like, I want to move in with Bill. He's like, I'm going to go be his roommate, Actually, he's already got a roommate, and I don't think she wants me there. we got along, but I'm sure she was happy that I was leaving after 14 days.
Right.
So there's Bill. He's sculpting away, and we had that blue figure at the beginning. That's called a buck. That's like a skeleton, an armature, and that's what the sculptors would start from. And that made sure that all the proportions were consistent from G.I. Joe to G.I. Joe. And they also had to make sure that once they put all this, he uses plumber epoxy. Other guys might use different materials, but his materials of choice is like a plumber seal epoxy. After he put the plumber seal epoxy on there, he had to guarantee that all the joints would still work properly, that nothing was blocked. And so that's what the buck is there for. And then Larry Hama has agreed to write the dossier. So Larry Hama, obviously he wrote all the comic books, he wrote all the file cards. He is the generator of all the ideas and characters and concepts that turn these little plastic figures into people that we still care about. So I'm so very happy that Larry Hama is going to be writing the bio for this guy. And I'm also curious if he's going to change the name, from Retelo, which is it's okay. It is what it is. I kind of hope he changes the name. We'll see. 32 years in the waiting. I can wait a little longer. Okay, so this was the speed round of the creative process. Anybody that doesn't want to see this, that wants to like hold out for the book and just like read it as a chapter, I want you to like leave for 10 minutes and come back and catch the rest of the show. All right. So speed round, creative process. Here's the sketches that Ron Rudat created, a couple different options. Here's the backpack options that he created and the carrier pigeon options. Everything from a regular bird to a bird with armor to like a full drone that kind of looks like a bird. All kinds of ideas. This is Kirk Bazigian's markup that he did on that. We actually recorded this whole session. It was like 45 minutes of watching Kirk Bazigian's wheels turn. And it was a lot of fun. I was on a Zoom meeting with him for that because we were keeping this part of the project moving during COVID. So this is the final line art on the left, the 360 turnarounds, like an engineering drawing on the top right, and then accessory engineering drawings on the bottom right. I actually ended up taking those accessory drawings and working with a 3D designer and creating actual 3D printed accessories. So I can show those later. Here's Ron Rudat's color studies. He did 6 of them. Of course, Kurt didn't just pick one. he had more feedback, and Ron created a 7th color study, and it's awesome. So there's the final presentation artwork. This would have been showed through to management to get approval to move on to engineering the figure. And here's the 3D printed accessories. The drone attaches to the backpack via a peg, and the bird, obviously, like his little claws clasp on to the little T-bar at the top. The helmet fits. The gun has a removable suppressor, and it also has removable mags, which tuck into the backpack. So it's freaking awesome. Once I had the accessories all measured out, I created a template for Ed Morrill to know how much card space he had to work with, and then he created the 4 sketches. So there's the 4 sketches. And then Doug Hart got to work on the painting. And so first he starts with line art, and then he starts really fleshing it out. And there's the final painting. And there's Doug's dog. So here's the sculpture. It's time to move on to this armature. There's the buck. And this is kind of, you can see preliminary sculpting on the left where he just starts to work through the clothing and get the masses in there. And then you can see where he starts to add, straps and bandoliers and grenades and that kind of thing on the right. And he used another material called A+B. It's also an epoxy, just so he get a little color variation there. And it kind of helps him, as he's adding the accessories to just keep some clarity on that. But there's the final sculpt. It's actually not final. Bill Merkline wants me to come back up and let him tweak it a little bit more, and I'm gonna do it. So I'm going back up to see Bill. It's close to final. It's really, really close to final.
And you're not moving in with him, right?
No, I'm not moving in with it. Amy does not want that. But their dog, they have a young dog named Puck, and Puck is like absolutely in love with me. So I have heard that Puck misses me, and they do want me to come visit. So I did not wear out my welcome. But anyway, it was really cool. I was there for 14 days, and by the end of it, Bill actually had me sculpting. So if you look at like the 3 smoke grenades over on the right side, he let me sculpt those, and I also got to sculpt the knee pads. So that's pretty cool, man. It was an amazing experience hanging out with him and watching his process, learning what he does. And actually, I sculpted a couple other things that we threw away because they were terrible.
Try not to make the place smell so much like nerd the next time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's a good look at the painting. There's the final figure. I think, yeah, this is a video. So I think I'll move the lighting around here so you can get a good feel of the depth of the face. The face on this guy is incredible. And of course, I made him bald because, a lot of special ops guys are bearded bald guys. So I wanted to represent that segment of society that I see in Southern Pines, North Carolina all the time.
Carson, is the face based on a real person?
So I took photos of myself because, I work by myself. I would have taken photos of somebody else, I promise. But Doug Hart did want some photo references, and so I grabbed my my Kel-Tec rifle and went out in front of my garage and set up my Canon on a timer and did a bunch of photos. I don't know if they're in this deck or not. I don't think they are. Okay, but there's a final look at the final sculpted figure, like with the helmet on, and you can see what the accessories look like on Little Duke there, and you can see the letter that started it all on the right. So I think this is probably like my key image where I show the whole process from like start to finish. So what's next? We're going to edit a documentary. I've got 30 hours of footage. This is what I do for a living, is video and animation. So I'm going to edit this. It's either going to be, a feature-length film, something like 90 minutes that shows the entire process, or it could be a more episodic thing where we visit one person per show and do one step of the process per show. Not really sure how that will play out. A lot of those decisions get made in editorial, and it might also be shaped by whoever wants to help me distribute this documentary, right? Depending on what their needs are. So I'm going to make a documentary. What about the figure? The figure, it's freaking incredible. I would absolutely love for this figure to be manufactured. I want to own this figure. I want my family to be able to buy this figure. I want my friends to be able to buy this figure. And any of you guys that are listening that think it's a cool idea and want to own this figure, I want you to be able to buy it. And I don't want it to be some like crazy expensive custom. So I've signed an NDA with a group of guys that are bringing out their own toy line, and it's very much in this vein. And so if they can help bring that to fruition, then I'm more than happy to partner with them to do that. So hopefully more to come about that in the future. But what if Operation Recall did not stop here? What if we expanded it and created up to 20 new figures, designed by Ron Rudat, designed by Mark Pennington, illustrated by Doug Hart, maybe sculpted by Bill Merkline? He's 75, and I don't know if I want to try to do that to him. He would probably say yes, but 2 weeks per figure, it's a lot, right? So I have to figure out the sculpting thing. But there's a what if out there. And at the panel, I basically asked the panel, what do you guys think? Is that something you'd be interested in? Is that a Kickstarter you'd want to back? Like, what are your feelings on that? So I'll throw it to you guys. What do you guys feel about it?
Go ahead, Mark Weber.
I mean, my Joe collection is pretty much just Hasbro stuff, right? Not that the 3D printer guys don't do great work, and not that there isn't outstanding stuff being done out there, which has been really valuable to the community when Hasbro wasn't making any Joe stuff, right? Like, collectors are going to collect. So they've gotten the next best thing, and in some cases, superior product, right? Some of the stuff that Marauders put out and some other guys out there. But this is authentic Hasbro. It doesn't need the logo on it to be part of G.I. Joe. So I'd be all over this. And I haven't supported much that's outside, simply because that's part of what I like about collecting. Everyone defines their own collection.
Yep.
But this belongs. This is absolutely in my wheelhouse.
I'll say this right now. If anybody from Hasbro with any power over making these kinds of decisions is listening to this and thinks this is a cool project and thinks that connecting with the old creators is a worthwhile endeavor, that Hasbro should put their stamp of approval on and make an actual retro line, a retro reborn, a retro recall, a retro whatever you want to call it, we're all good with that. Let's make it happen. If Hasbro wants this to happen, it could be official. Right. I do video and animation for a living. This isn't about a hustle and making money. This is about having fun. This is about getting the old creators back and letting them do what they're still good at. There's no reason that they can't do this to this day. Look at the results of what we have put together in the last year. It's incredible. I hold that little O-ring figure. I can't wait to see him shrunk down and painted, have a paint master. It's gonna hold up to what happened in A Real American Hero. Guaranteed. It's going to be better than some of those figures, candidly, right? So if we could do that again, like I was literally just interviewing Mark Pennington in South Carolina 3 months ago, and you know what he said to me? I regret 1989 version 3 Snake Eyes. I want another chance to do it better. That's what he said. He's not happy with that figure. He loves version 2 Storm Shadow, doesn't like version 3 Snake Eyes, right? And so Ron and Mark had already been talking about trying to get together and do a project where they design more figures. I'm like, we're already doing a test of that with Retelo, with Ron and Doug and Bill and everybody else. Let's do it. I think the community will support it. And if Hasbro wants to support it, Hasbro official. Let's make it happen.
But, sideways to my point, I think that's great. And if they got involved, that's even better. But you don't need them.
No.
Right. But if they don't want to do it, the only thing that we sacrifice, this is the one caveat. The only thing we sacrifice, if Hasbro doesn't want anything to do with it, then that's fine. It's their IP, it's their property. They make the decisions. That's cool. But if they don't want anything to do it, then yes, it's not G.I. Joe. There are no G.I. Joe logos. I wouldn't use the new logo anyway, and we certainly couldn't use the old 2D logo or 3D 1986 extruded logo. The other sacrifice is the bad guys can't be Cobra, and you can't use Cobra symbols and that kind of thing. But we would design bad guys that would fit with that era of toys. So if you're playing with those toys and these toys, it's going to feel cohesive. You know what I mean? It's not going to feel like out of left field. So what do you think, Joe? What do you think, Mike?
I would buy every single one of them. Like, I was like watching, like, oh my God, like, just like, I wish I had seen it live, but
yeah,
this is great. Like,
she wants to see she wants to see your take on the Red Ninja.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I will say this. I want to do all new characters, and this is an angle that I haven't pitched to you guys yet. The experience that I just had of taking 10-year-old Carson's idea and actually getting it carried through with all these guys. First thing I want to say is Ron Rudat had the option to create an entirely different character. If he didn't like the radio type operator I got idea with a carrier pigeon, if he didn't like that, I totally told him we could do something different. You really don't have to do this. But when he came back to me with sketches of Retelo, I was like, yes! Like the idea that like 10-year-old me is like, I'm living my dream. Ron Rudat's doing it. I want however many figures we can get funded. I want the crystal of an idea that turns into the next however many figures. I want those to come from the fans. I want it to be people like me that submitted stuff back in the day. You back the Kickstarter, you throw the money behind this, send us in your ideas, send us in your letters. Mark Pennington, Ron Rudat, Kirk Bazigian, all get in a room and hammer it out and decide which ones are they doing and which ones are they not. And the lucky people that win get to have the experience that I just had over the last year and a half of watching this thing come to life. So I think that's a really cool angle for it.
It's amazing watching them. Like, they've not missed a beat in their talents. Like Kirk's notes and like attention to detail, and Ron's ability to character develop and like just the sculpting itself, like just even the facial expressions. I'm like, oh my God, this is like freaking out, like quietly trying not to freak out publicly, but I'm like, oh my God.
We have a rare opportunity. These guys are in their, late 60s to mid 70s kind of thing. We have a rare opportunity here to take these people back to lightning in a bottle that they captured the 80s and 90s and let them relive that. It's fun for them too. When we got done with Retelo, bar none, they all said they didn't want it to end there. This isn't just coming from me. This isn't just me like pushing some idea on people. They had a fun time with it and they want to do more of it. And so that's what got me thinking about, damn, can we really do this? We might really be able to do this. And so I've been talking to people that know people with a factory, that know project managers in China that are creating their own toy line, that we can do this. Like, it's crazy. It's becoming real for me, and it's very, very exciting.
I mean, I'm in, Carson. There's a public record of the last 10, 11 years of me waving drums over my head, up support for stuff like this. So I'm in.
I know you are, brother.
Totally.
I appreciate it.
Here's a good question. If Hasbro said they would do the figure, but as a modern sculpt, would you still approve?
I mean, yeah, it would still be a dream come true for me. I'm not going to be like, well, no, it has to be O-ring. My only little asterisk next to that is like, I at least get to make custom O-ring versions or whatever. Like, I'm not going to not have an O-ring version of this guy in some form. But that said, I think there's more potential in doing vintage style stuff with the vintage designers that did it back in the day. I think it makes more sense to do retro recalled, right? You're recalling the old troops to create some retro figures. We're not doing modern figures with vintage package art and calling it retro. And I'm not taking a dig at anybody. Everybody knows when we were supposed to be getting a retro line and got more modern figures re-released. It's like, oh, great. They're using the actual Garrido artwork. That's awesome. But they're using modern sculpts. That's not retro.
Imaginations ran wild, and it was, it's not that it's bad work. Even, I mean,
the figures are fine.
Yeah. Speaking as somebody who has the vehicles from that line, and I'll probably wind up investing in Stalker from the carded figures. It does feel a little hollow.
Yeah, it's just, Mark, you guys released that Snake Eyes. What year was it? 2015?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Right. So
and it was a re-release then, right?
Yeah. So
because it's a great figure, but
it is amazing. It's an awesome figure. But when the expectations or the hopes, the wishful thinking of the community was, oh, we're getting retro. Oh, they're going back to O-ring. Oh no, they're not. Oh, they're just re-releasing Snake Eyes from 2015.
Yeah, it's like a classic rock station saying, "Here's Imagine Dragons," and you're like, "Was that really that long ago?" So,
yeah.
Hey, one of the things I think is really cool about this, almost every step of the process, as it's done now, is done digitally, right?
Right.
But everything I saw, and I think everything, is pen and paper or paint and canvas, right?
I'm glad I actually already had my my personal kind of hidden behind the scenes development page pulled up, because I do want to correct one little piece of that. 1 second. So I mentioned when I got the accessory illustrations back from Ron Rudat that I thought a valuable next step would be to work with a 3D developer to turn those into more solid, kind of more detailed, like ready to print accessories. Are you guys seeing the webpage right here? Step 9.
I am. Hang on. There we go.
There we go.
All right. So shout out to Adam Freeman. This is a freelance 3D modeler. I believe he's already doing work with Hasbro. So this is the original backpack design by Adam Freeman. Hopefully this model will load correctly. I'm in a hotel with terrible Wi-Fi and I'm already streaming video, so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I've done the research to where these are based off of real military tools that are relevant to this day. So a tactical cyber equipment, CMOS, which is a modular open suite of standards chassis. That's a real backpack concept. Of course, it doesn't look like what's pictured here. This looks like what Ron Rudat designed it to look like. Anyway, so there's some straps. There's like the little pouch. I worked with Adam to create these 3D designs. And then, of course, 3D designers are more focused on aesthetics and less focused on engineering and printing viability. So I ended up working with a 3D printer, Mike Seifert, who did the engineering aspect of it and helped turn these 3D designs into 3D printable, engineerable models. So here's the bird. This is one of my favorite parts. He's got a little helmet.
Oh,
he could take at least a 22 to the head, and he'd still be all right. He's got a flak vest on the front here, and then on the back he's got like Rob Liefeld pouches everywhere.
I love it. Feature part out, Polly.
he's carrying the hell out of some messages, man. Like he's really ready to roll. And then he's got the traditional World War II, World War I aluminum canister that they would wear on their legs. So believe it or not, before I kick this over to Larry, there's the tactical helmet with the microphone. Here's the Sig Sauer with the removable suppressor and clips. Here's the printed accessories that Mike Seifert put together. And yeah, I'll click through those so you guys can see a little bit more of these accessories. There's it from the back with the drone attached. There's the drone flying behind him. Does not actually fly, requires handheld poses. There's a couple mags that go in this little pouch right here. The straps come off, which this is a very unique accessory. I don't think I saw this on any Real American Hero figures. So we were trying to do some unique stuff, but like that would still fit, in the wheelhouse. And there's the extra mags tucked into the pouch. It'll actually hold 3. There's the bird. So yeah, there's the gun with the removable suppressor and the folding stock. I don't know if I mentioned the folding stock yet.
Oh.
So we had a ton of fun putting this stuff together. Yeah, there's the layout sketches. So I think that's all I wanted to show. But Mark, to your point, all of this stuff was analog with the exception of the 3D printed accessories. Mm-hmm. And you're right, it's a dying art form. When people are doing ideation for characters, they're sketching on an iPad or they're sketching on a Wacom Cintiq. When I went to HasCon in 2017, all the designers there had the giant desktop Cintiq and were just going to town on it. And they're amazing digital artists. And the sculptors are working in ZBrush and whatever other applications they're working on. So they're not creating, armatures with plumber seal. Mm-hmm. They're not doing paintings with gouache and acrylics. They're just not putting pencil to paper like they used to. And so part of this documentary that's very important to me is preserving I hope not dying, but certainly a contracted art form that not a lot of people are practicing anymore. And the fact that Bill Merkline and I recorded for 14 days. I've got probably 20 hours of start to finish sculpting with Bill Merkline. That's going to hopefully help teach another generation of sculptors to do this the old way. And there's a reason to do it the old way. I noticed this when he was sculpting on that butt, when he was doing the pockets on the back. He did one little pocket, and then he did the other little pocket. And you know what? They didn't look exactly the same because there's humanity there. There's human error. There's just adjustments that get made. There's there's life in it. And if you would have done that in the computer, it would have been perfect. And then you would have copied that one, copied that right cheek and pasted it on that left cheek. And it would have been too symmetrical. It would have been too perfect, Mm-hmm. So the idea that, the humanity is lost. Some of the humanity is lost when you get into the digital version of the art form. And I say that jokingly, left cheek, right cheek. But I mean it, the sentiment of it. I mean it 100%. When you do things...
There's a realism to not having everything completely symmetrical.
Yeah.
He could have walked or changed his pocket or had something in it, just using your pocket example. But yes. I agree.
My iPhone has worn out my left pocket in every pair of jeans I wear. I guarantee that pocket's a little more stretched and has a little wear angle on the corner of the iPhone. You know what I mean? So the humanity is lost when you do digital. And I'm not saying that to hate on anybody that just works digitally. I understand the benefits of it too, in terms of layers and revisions. And yeah, there's lots of reasons to go digital too. But Mark, to your point, this is preserving that analog process through documentary film.
I think it's outstanding.
Rather than just say something along the lines of working on the details of the pants, it's like when he's working on that butt.
Right. When he's on that right cheek, and he's going to town. Come on, I try to bring humor to this stuff. I don't want to be preachy, but it's true, man. The analog stuff is a dying art form. And if we can do something to not only preserve it through documentary, but also give these guys a chance to shine and make more figures,
And I know
we're not going to get this chance again.
Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
Just my favorite thing that I didn't know that I missed in the presentation that I saw here is that the pigeon's claws are exaggerated, right? He's got big feet.
They're gargantuan.
Because 100 years from now, you don't want people going, oh man, does anybody have the carrier pigeon without broken feet? Right?
It was definitely a revision that we went through several revision cycles on the pigeon, and that all happened with me and Adam and Mike. Mike was like, this shit will never print, you know, so he started making some revisions on it. And I think we went back to Adam, but I'm not sure. We definitely ended up combining the 2 feet. Originally, it was 2 separate feet, and it was like, those peg legs are never going to work. So we ended up combining the feet and then making them larger. But spoiler alert, one of the revisions that Bill Merkline wants to do, even though this isn't even a figure revision, he's got some figure revisions he wants to do. It's the same guy that sculpted the Visa Dove. He wants to sculpt the carrier pigeon. He doesn't think that the carrier pigeon that Adam did is as lifelike as it could be. So, Adam, I love you. I think your pigeon was amazing. But if Bill does something better,
right,
we might have to go with Bill Merkline's pigeon. We're gonna see.
Just keep those big feet, baby.
Yeah.
That pigeon, absolutely.
So that's pretty much it. That's the whole pitch, man. That was the panel. I think it felt pretty good just to giving it it's so different when you have a live audience and people, you can read people's faces. Like when I was showing the slides, I couldn't read y'all's faces. So it's impossible to kind of tailor it.
I think they were stunned, right?
Thanks.
Like in a very good way, just like the brains couldn't quite process what they were seeing. It was a resoundingly positive room. Absolutely.
I certainly felt that way, man. I've been chomping at the bit to talk about this for a year and a half, 2 years. And Joe Fest was just like this big release where I can finally just show and tell all this good stuff. And it's made me through, last year was tough, man. And a lot of people had a tough time. And I've told people on multiple occasions that this project was like one of those rays of sunshine that made it all better or made it all doable, just get through it. And so finally, getting vaccinated and having the opportunity to go meet with all these guys and see it come through to fruition in totality, incredible.
It's a little bit of a sliver and very similar actually to what it's like to be giving the Hasbro panel, right? Because you've worked on something for a year and a half and now you're debuting it to an appreciative audience, but not a cakewalk, right? If they don't like it, they'll let you know. And so finally be able to pull that curtain back and have a discerning crowd be fully behind it was my favorite part of the process at Hasbro. And I'm glad you got to experience that same thing at Joe Fest last weekend.
It's crazy because I'm just like a hobbyist with an archive. You know what I mean? You're the real deal that actually worked on the brand for Hasbro. And so for me, but for me to get a taste of that, like as an archivist, that's crazy. Like the fact that I've been able to do all this and that everybody has said yes, like every step of the way and bought into like the vision of it and had fun with it. I just feel really, really lucky.
But I said this online and I meant every bit of it is that no one has been doing more for this hobby than you over the last 7-8 years. So
there's so many people. There are so many people that do so many great things. So I thank you because I've certainly given countless hours to the archive and to documenting and that kind of thing. It's also hard to hear that because I know how many other people are doing so much great stuff too, from customizers to costumers to Joe Declassified, people like historians, archivists, selfless people that are sharing for the passion of it and the love of it and not the monetization of it. People, Chris Murray, podcasters, of course, present company, of course, included. The selfless nature of it, man, of all the creatives that are creating this stuff. Chris Murray, for example, Joe Declassified and 3DJoes kind of handshake deal a couple months ago. Like, we're going to team up and we're going to make 3DJoes bigger and better than it's ever been. Chris Murray spent a month with me working on one page for Guy Cassaday, and the whole community benefits from that. If you go look at that Guy Cassaday page, there's 200 photos, over 2 hours of audio interviews. It's extensive documentation, free of charge to the community to help preserve Guy Cassaday's hard work and his incredible toy legacy. You know what I mean? So I'm one person that's, a representative of a much bigger movement to preserve and, present this stuff to the community. So thank you for saying that. But more importantly, thank you to everybody else that sees Crazy Carson coming along with an idea and says, yeah, all right, let's do it.
Hey man, Crazy Carson always has a home at What's on Joe Mind. So you ever have anything you need to share, you bring it on, and we plug in the microphones and we will turn it up to 11 for you.
It feels like home, brother. I appreciate you guys having me, man. It's a nice homecoming.
Always at any time. But let's let you get to sleep, man.
All right, fellas and ladies.
Carson, it's been lovely having you, man.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Yo, Joe.
Yo, Joe.
Later, guys.
Yo, Joe.
So if you're just tuning in now, you just missed Carson's his panel from Joe Fest. And so just a beginning to end production of an O-ring style 1982-ish type themed action figure with all of the original creators. You will definitely, when we get done here tonight, you will definitely want to go back and watch that beginning. Make sure that you're also doing all the wonderful YouTube and Facebook things, like our video, subscribe to our channel, like our Facebook page, all that other great social media stuff. Share this around. We really want to get people aware of this. We want to make this as big as possible.
I think that was, without a doubt, the best 60-minute elevator pitch I've ever heard.
Yeah. And you worked for the main place.
For a while.
For a little bit. I mean,
Yeah, for a little bit.
4 years. That's an Olympiad. That's an administration.
5 years. Don't you sell me short, Mike Irizarry.
I'm sorry, my math is off. Whatever, man. Yeah. I had a lot of crummy jobs in that time, so I can't keep track of when you had a good one.
No, you can keep track of it. You just watch where the profits fell off.
They didn't sink the whole time.
No. As a matter of fact, the Transformers team is doing amazing work right now. So they've taken that hand off very smartly.
There you go. I mean, you can.
That's all. Carson's stuff is awesome, and the lone. If I'm going to be the lone tomato thrower, because he already said it, I kind of hope they change the name. Right? Let's hope Larry comes up with something a little more.
Larry will do it.
A little more compelling than Retelo.
He'll come through.
Yeah.
Have faith in some Larry.
I like how I saw Mark Pennington talk there, and when people would ask him about characters, he'd have no idea who they were talking about, right? Because he would design them as Snow Trooper, right? And they go, Blizzard's my favorite, and they'd talk for 5 minutes, and then he'd go, which one is Blizzard?
Right.
And they go, and they show a picture, and they go, oh yeah, I love Blizzard. I thought it was great. I wanted to make a more modern snow job, and he'd go right into it. But when he designed them, man, they were just like, breacher trooper.
Just names, yeah. Just generic infantry trooper, etc.
And there was always 12 more to design. So once one was done and off to Larry, he was done with it, right? Like did not care. Not that he did not care, but had something else to work on.
Well,
he needed his mind clear for the next one, and it was. He only focused on what he needed to focus for the amount of time that he needed to build that, and then it was gone.
Yep. People are like, I love the Heliviper. And he's like,
okay.
Cobra Copter dude. Okay, got it. I love that guy too.
Much like Joe Colton on baking projects.
Yeah.
True.
Just clog it all and then just flush it out.
I'm very thankful Maggie came over because this is like my 7th time trying chocolate chip cookies.
We are running pretty long already, and we got a lot of news to cover. So let's roll right into the news. First news item: Mezco has announced a new roadblock for its 112 collective line. The second figure in the series, Destro was the first, if you remember. Destro has, or rather, Roadblock has over 30 points of articulation. He comes with a cloth uniform, and I'm gonna get the this thing going here. There we go. There's some Roadblock. Cloth uniform, 3 heads, 6 pairs of hands. The equipment shown in the photos on screen. He is available for pre-order at $95, and that includes a non-refundable $23.75 deposit. Roadblock is expected to ship between May and July of 2022. And to put that on the calendar there, if you order Destro, that's January to March 2022. So this is more of a second quarter type of opportunity. But there we can see Roadblock with his big gun, laying down some suppressive cover fire, and then posing with the smaller gun in the other one. These are straight off of Mezco's website. If you go to the site we have listed down below in the description, you will find these shots and more. And here's a more detailed look on what is included with Roadblock. And that's a lot of stuff. As much as personally, I was a little lukewarm on Destro. He looked a little weird, and the metal smiling head was a little weird. But I really like Roadblock. Joe Colton, what's your thoughts?
I too thought that Destro was a little weird. His facial expression was a little creepy. This one's nice. I like the 3 different heads. I like the multiple hands. It's interesting, the cloth clothing. I like it. I just wasn't expecting it, I guess. I don't know why. I just didn't think. And for like the price point is like freaking amazing, especially for the details on this figure. Yeah, I'd pre-order this.
Mark Weber. I mean, the cloth is the best part, I think, right? Because covers up whatever brutal chest cut is under there. So I'm down with that. It's great looking. The first image I saw was with the vest on.
Yes.
And my initial reaction was, so they took version 2 Roadblock and gave him version 1 colors. Right. But now that you see everything, it kind of makes sense. Though I wish they'd have been a little more version 2 on the vest. But it's great. But for me, it's sort of like the Sideshow Toys Joes that came out, which were exquisite, right? Yeah. Just so good. And even working at McFarlane Toys at the time when those came out, I looked at the price point and went, can't swim in that water, right? Like I might go in if they make my guy, right? If they make Interrogator, but if they made Ace or Steeler or somebody, I knew it was going to hurt, but I'd be in for that. But as a Joe collector, I'm almost a completist. So like for Classified, I have them all. For Retro, I have them all. If I was going to swim in this pool, I'd need them all as a collector. And at $100 per, not that they aren't individually worth it, but I just don't think I can swim in that pool. And that's no diss to Mezco. It's just, I don't think I can be there. And, I wish them well. I do think it's really interesting that Hasbro is letting somebody else make something different. And I'm going to say superior because they have such a bigger price point to work within, right? That is not a slam on Hasbro. That the $100 figure is superior in many ways to their $25 figures. Right. Totally different animal, but it is a superior version of a similarly scaled figure. And they were always really protective about that on Joe. So it is interesting to see that has changed at least a little bit under the current regime has only been in place for 2 months. So this obviously got started under the previous regime, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm going to have to echo your sentiments there. If you look at them individually, this is beautiful. Someday if they do a beachhead, I'm probably in for that one. But yeah, on the whole, if Roadblock was my guy, I would totally be in for this. But he's not, so I just can't be. It's not. But we've seen I've said this about every other boutique line that's come along in the past. Apparently, there's some kind of a market for some of them because they keep coming back and they keep getting 8, 9, 10, 11 figures per run. So yeah,
I think that's probably the limit for it, right? When they run out of the A+ guys, is as much as we love him, right? Is Hit and Run really going to move enough product for them to make him?
Right.
No, he's not. Right. He's not.
And it's hard for those fans to hear that as well. Like I find how many people love Hit and Run?
Right.
How many people love him and would buy this type of figure?
Right. Yeah. Everybody loves Hit and Run, but is he anybody's favorite? Like their number one guy? Not many. Not many. Some. But not many.
Justin, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Justin Bell.
Right. Can't believe they never made a Sigma 6 Hit and Run for Justin Bell.
Right. Sad, really.
Man.
But that's that. Next news item. All right then.
It's like a flat tire at the end.
Leaked images of a supposed G.I. Joe exclusive were found on eBay. Earlier this week, images of a deluxe Zartan figure emerged in an auction for eBay user Roof Crasher, claiming that the figure was due to be a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive this summer. The Zartan figure itself appears to be a repaint of the Zartan that was released general issue. There's some pictures there earlier this year, but it appears to have much more gear, including extra masks or perhaps heads of Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, the Soft Master, the Hard Master, and a skull. Zartan also appears to have a sniper rifle and a repainted bow and quiver set that originally came with the Arctic Attack Storm Shadow from last year. The outer packaging also seems to have a rotating wheel that allows Zartan to appear with the various masks from his inventory. And we'll certainly have more details on this as they're revealed. But just take a moment here. We got these images from histank.com, who got them from the eBay auction. But Mark, we'll start with you as the industry professional here. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's perfect for a Comic-Con exclusive, right? Absolutely perfect. Extra deco, extra accessories. They're not cutting too much steel, only on what I'm pretty sure are masks, not heads. Be really cool if they were heads. And the one thing we don't know for sure, but I would assume they would call it out. And what I think is the gigantic miss on this. As long as you could get it approved through engineering and QA, this is the figure you give the color change to.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Because you can charge whatever. That's the best thing about San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. You can charge whatever the hell you want for them. So
people will buy them and they'll be sold out within minutes.
There's no limit to your creativity, because you can, even if you're only adding something small, right? If it bumps the retail price point from $29.99 to $31.99, you'll never get approved to do it, right? Because nobody, even if you can't even spin that to Walmart or Target and say, you'll make more money, right? We'll just bump the price to $31.99. You make more money and we can include the Gatling cannon. And they go, nah, lose the cannon, keep it at $29.99. $31.99 is a weird price point. And they're right on some level, but on collector-fueled things, it absolutely doesn't matter. And at San Diego Comic-Con, if they wanted to add in color changing on Zartan's skin here with exposure to sunlight, and it cost $5 more, cool. This could go from $46.99 to $51.99, and they wouldn't sell one less figure. So, again, we don't know for sure that this doesn't do that. But if it did, I think they would call it out on the packaging, especially on the interior, maybe. But I think that's a miss. And then the other bit, and I have been there, and it's not always one specific person's fault, and COVID didn't help. But, man, they just had G.I. Joe June, right? This is something I know they wanted to trumpet and announce and release and celebrate. And instead, it leaked out in an eBay auction.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a big miss. And it's not always the brand team's fault. But whoever's fault it is, I have been on the brand team when things leak. And it sucks. So, especially something that has been as universally embraced as this product, it really sucks that they didn't get the opportunity to unveil this on a Pulse Friday or on their website or something.
Yeah.
But it is, it is what it is. It looks great, and I imagine the price will be right for it, and it's sharp.
And we don't know that it's for San Diego either, just for the record. It could be for any convention coming forward. It could be for PulseCon, which is Hasbro's own event. It could be for something else later in the year, maybe for PulseCon and San Diego.
I mean, the size is...
We don't have any confirmation as far as when this was planned to be released.
It looks like the box size is the same as the Snake Eyes Timber, right? The Alpha Commando.
That would be my guess, yeah.
Kind of thing. But the extra packaging with that fifth panel and the rotating wheel, that absolutely screams event exclusive.
Yeah.
So this is probably a Comic-Con with Pulse leftover kind of thing. So I think that's dead on. But obviously you're right, Mike. They haven't said anything about this yet, probably because they're still cursing under their breath that it got leaked through an eBay auction.
Right.
Now, I can't see it, but is that a Urashikage symbol on the bow? Like on the, not on the bow, on the quiver.
Yeah, because
I can't see.
It is.
It's sculpted. I think it's sculpted on
okay.
Storm Shadow accessory. So they would have had to cut new steel to take it off.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So next news item. And this one's for the honcho. Oh no!
It's weird. I don't see anything.
You don't see that Target?
Target announces the Summer Geek Out promotion for starting on July 6th. Target will be opening pre-orders for new exclusives or reissues of previously sold out exclusives. It's assumed that some or all of the previously short-sold G.I. Joe classified Assault on Cobra Island figures will be included. But as of showtime, Target has not revealed any information which toys are being released. Target announced that they will be showing a new item every weekday starting on Tuesday, July 6th, with pre-orders starting for that item that day at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Sunday, July 25, they're teasing the month's biggest reveals, in quotes. Again, we'll have more on this as it develops. That just announced it a couple days ago, and they're obviously playing it all pretty close to the vest. But I am going to guess that all of the Beachheads and the Cobra Soldiers and the Vipers that we haven't seen at retail, this is where they're going to start popping up first. That's my guess. Again, can't confirm any of that. And Biff McConkie Donk asks, really? 5 a.m. Really? 5 a.m. Pacific. Move to a real coast.
So.
Yeah.
Breath mint or candy mint? Candy mint. Definitive right there.
We're running late.
I think this is a good idea. I hope they pull it off, and I hope they fulfill their customers' pre-orders.
Right?
How's that? Is that diplomatic?
It is.
Right.
I'm happy to report that I have not had my pre-orders canceled for the Ram or for barbecue yet. So
yeah.
Stay tuned.
Right? I'll be honest. I'm checking it far more often than I should be.
Just speaking from experience, try not to miss that email they didn't send you.
Mm-hmm. Check that spam folder.
Yeah.
One for bitter.
But next news item. Marauder Task Force Vietnam launches on Kickstarter. Marauder Incorporated launched their most recent. Let me get that up on the screen here. There we go. Launched their most recent Kickstarter on June 30th, which has them bringing their take on Vietnam-era military figures in 1/18 scale. It funded in 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, 1 freaking hour. As of this show, the project is listing a pledge total of... And let me pull that back up here. I lost it.
Is this going to be Shipwreck again?
What? No, it is not. I promise. The current total is... Come on, browser. Go for it. Come on.
What version of Netscape Navigator are you using?
It is just as bad. It's Safari. $200,862.
Nice.
And that is for a goal of $64,000.
That's awesome. So, I was going to say, hey, support our friends at Marauder, but you know what?
You already
do what you want. They don't need your help.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to join in, that's a full bandwagon. They absolutely knocked us out of the park.
The project will continue to collect pledges until August 14. That is 43 days from now.
Right. When they will top $100 billion pledged.
Congratulations to the entire Marauder Incorporated team. They have unlocked 9 stretch goals to this point. So if you're keeping track at home, they have unlocked the Green Beret with M16, the World War II U.S. Airborne Paratrooper, the LLRP with Claymore, the LLRP with AK-47, the NVA Regular, the Navy SEAL Shotgunner, the Navy SEAL Stoner Gunner, the Marine Rifleman, and the Marine M60 Gunner. So that is all unlocked to this point, and they're charging on forward to shoot.
Next up is the Night Force Shattered Glass Skeletor Paratrooper.
Right, because
it's an amazing figure.
That's all that's left. They've done all the others. It's all that's left. I'm scrolling so far down this page to get the next stretch goal. It is Green Beret Radio Man. So a Green Beret and with the old 60s style radio transceiver. That is at $210,000. So they're almost there. And then stretch goal 11 at 234 is a helicopter crew door gunner. And then at stretch goal 12 at 248,000, which seems to be still in the foregone conclusion category. The air cavalry pilot, he's got a helmet and a little Wild Bill hat, so he's pretty awesome. And then it's just good stuff. We go all the way up to the Army nurse at stretch goal 14, and she comes with all kinds of medical gear, and that's pretty awesome. And then, who knows? They'll be adding more after that if and when they get past that stretch goal. So big round of applause.
Yeah, absolutely.
For Marauder Incorporated.
If you just launched your Kickstarter today and your only lament tonight is, God, I don't think we made enough stretch goals. You did a really good job, right?
And their quality is great, always.
Yeah. Stretch goal number 25 is Richard Nixon. Who knew?
There's Dave.
Sold!
We love the smell of plastic in the morning.
That's right. Smells like victory. The cool thing about Nixon is you can release him twice, as a crook and also as not a crook.
Release him as a head in a jar.
Right? Oh.
Enjoying the great taste of Charleston chew.
So wrong.
And lime Skittles. Oh, foreshadowing.
Don't be giving away my future content there.
Your
Next news item.
Oh. Yeah. Keep it going because we missed the first half.
So LBJ with removable gallbladder. That's
That's wrong. So wrong.
Too soon?
Racktime Rob has a degree in history,
Yeah. He also has a degree in sarcasm.
Right.
Damn.
Right. That's just earned living in our house growing up. Anyways, Rank and File Book 5 is ready to order. As we noted on our Facebook page a couple days ago, our good friend, noted author James Kavanaugh's latest book is ready to order at rahcguide.com. Rank and File Book 5 covers all 1/18th scale G.I. Joe releases from the latter half of 2017 through the current day.
That's a good year.
It is. Rank and File number 5 is $20 plus shipping and handling. And there we go. Order today.
Right? Isn't this the one with 100% more Weber forward?
I thought it was. I wasn't seeing that anywhere, but I wanted to make sure before I went and touted that one out. This is the one that Joe Colton canceled on, and so the honcho Mark Weber stepped in and wrote a good forward because Colton was legitimately keeping the world safe for democracy.
Fair enough.
We don't hold that one against you, Joe Colton.
Yeah,
not this time.
I myself was not. So.
Mark Weber was free from the surly bonds of democracy protecting.
He's also a better writer and just more experienced than I am.
but slightly less adept cosplayer. Slightly.
No one's judging you for it.
And not brave enough to sit on Captain Kirk's bed, I'll tell you that much.
If noted author James Kavanaugh sat down, they'd have to try and get him off of it. Is the problem? Joe Colton would know when it was time to go home.
James would not.
Who's to say Kavanaugh wasn't there before?
Right. Right. I mean, he's have full gas tank will travel.
Oh my God.
But Doug Kelly's out of the game. He bought it at Joe Fest from a certain noted author.
That's right. Good. I saw James down there. Always good seeing him in person.
Except when he's dressed as Joe, then it's not good to see him at all.
Yeah, I suppose.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was.
Shut up! It's awesome.
That's a limited edition.
Yeah, I mean, look. I can appreciate the compliment that you may have taken from that. However, yeah, you were a much more convincing gentleman than he was. We'll just leave it at that.
The term visually scarring has been used to describe
he still has that dress. I let him keep it.
Well, you're gonna want it back. I mean,
no, I had 3 and I gave him 1. I gave him, I think, the longest one because I've seen James and I've seen what he does, and I didn't want to have everyone have interesting dreams.
I think you sabotaged him, Joe. Everyone knows the rule of cosplay is skin to win. Man.
That's the news. You know what? Before we forget, there's that crummy helicopter thing that you can buy at Tuesday morning or.
Oh God, Burlington Factory.
Let's let everybody freak out about that for a week.
Breaking news.
Yeah, it was not. I just wasn't. I wasn't up for including even more photos into what was already going to be a PowerPoint intensive episode of What's on Joe Mind.
I think you gave it the coverage it deserved.
It's
maybe more.
Go get your $4 out to Burlington Coat Factory and buy yourself a Vietnam Aero helicopter with a sticker. But hey, it does fly, so that's not too bad. And it's got the Garrido artwork, so that's not too bad. So that's worth.
Oh God!
Just slap an off striker on it.
Yeah, there you go.
We're good.
Good enough. An off striker with the driver's seat on the wrong side.
The European version.
That's right. Mm-hmm. The Euro striker.
Except it says United States across the hood. Whatever.
It says United States backwards. That's so you can read it in the.
No. They fixed it. I think it's fixed.
I don't know.
They actually took the time to fix the wrong vehicle.
I have no desire to keep running with this particular joke, so I can't do it anymore.
Moving on. Next joke item.
That brings us out to what we got in.
Oh, good Lord.
And so I know the honcho is freshly home from Joe Fest, so I know he's just got all kinds of stuff he is itching to show off. Maybe if he took pictures, we would get it on the Instagram page.
I got a camera. You want a picture? I use a camera. We'll go live. We'll do it live.
So go ahead, Mark. Take it away.
So I haven't got much in this year, right? Why? Saving my money for Joe Fest. So we're going to do the speed round, right? So first, this is got to be an exciting moment for everybody. I'm going to hold these 4 guys up together. They're just from like the grab it bin, right? You don't even need to see who they are, right? Because what are we looking at here, ladies and gentlemen?
Pants.
Quality legs, baby. And if you're a lazy bastard customizer like me, it doesn't matter how bad Psych Out is. Because look at that. That's a solid pair. I can use those anywhere. So I got some good cheap custom stuff from Chris Neal's booth. Look at that. Glider guy, right? Cloudburst.
Glider.
$10. How can you forget it? We got a bunch of file cards, some that I needed and some that just looked cool were cheap. Needed a wild boar. Got myself that Viper. Love Updraft, and I had a French file card for him.
Nice.
So Ozone, that's our boy Dave Kunitz. That'll make sense here in a little bit. Super Trooper. 3 Sergeant Slaughters. I have almost no Sergeant Slaughter in my collection because, as you know, I cannibalized him to keep Thunder alive way back in the day.
You stole its crotch, yeah.
Yeah, right? So there was more Sergeant Slaughter physically in the room at Joe Fest than there is in my collection. So we had to get working on that. One of my favorite Cobras, the Headhunter Stormtrooper. Price is right, so we added to it. Like I said, I don't have very many Sarges, so it's a pretty good Sarge for $20. I'll take it.
Thunder is.
These are from Chris Neal's booth, which is always the best booth. I got
the Twin Department.
So good. So I got a full-on Viper. I needed one of those. Got a Flash. I got to do a little Flash surgery coming up. We'll see how that goes. Got this little jammy for $10, right?
Oh, nice.
Right? The only problem, it's missing like the whole inside.
Everything.
Yeah, that's coming from eBay and it wasn't cheap. But this was. So, okay, cool. Just in case you got any corpses that need to be picked up.
Hey.
It's a Joe Colton guilty pleasure right there.
Oh my God! Why?
Cool. I'm thinking about customizing it into a Battle Force 2000 vehicle just for the irony. So we'll see where that ends up. Okay, and then I'm almost done. So I don't know, a month ago we opened this bad boy up live, right? Okay, the Cobra Scorpion. Am I still long?
Yeah, you're good.
I had a weird echo going on. Anyway, it comes in tan chassis with. It sounds like I'm killing the broadcast.
No, we had kind of some weird lag go on. I think we're getting ourselves righted. So you should be good. Just keep going ahead.
Okay. So this vehicle came in two different ways. It came with tan chassis and black accessories, and black chassis with tan accessories, and they're both about equivalent to each other. But it's hard to find an open one to get the flipped version if you wanted to get both, or if you wanted to do what me and lots of people have done, make it all tan and make an all black Jeep. But Chris Neal to the rescue, and I had to bag the box because I wouldn't fit in my bag on the way home. But there's my black chassis Scorpion. So we'll do our first lazy bastard vehicle coming up. That'll be exciting. And then here's the best part. So this is my leatherneck from my childhood collection. This is my Dusty from my childhood collection. Look at that bipod in there. Who's got the bipod? I got the bipod. So anyway.
I have a bipod that was chewed up by my dog.
Well, that'll happen, right?
I still have it.
Well, yeah, you got to keep that. Even chewed up, you get $20 for it.
Yeah.
So anyway, these were specific, and they mean something to me. Not just because they're from my childhood collection, but on the flight down and on the way back, I got to spend some time with Virginia and Ron Rudat. And I've known Ron through Facebook, but we've never met in person. So we flew from Providence to Atlanta, Atlanta to Augusta, and back again. So I got to spend some really good time with both of them. And at special request, rather than bring the file card, I just brought a nice little label.
There you go.
So I got Ron's autograph on the back of the two file cards that mean the most, the guy that had his name, the guy that was modeled after his face. And I think that's going to be where an area I take my collection next. Is Joes that were sculpted after real people or named after real people. Maybe I can scare up, or some of the voice actors, I can scare up autographs, and it won't be painful because I'm only asking them to sign label, basically, to go on the back of the file cards, because there's no real good place to get a quality autograph, right? Because the file cards get so damaged. So that's something I want to work on, and I know enough people that I think that's something I can chase and keep myself busy for a while.
Torpedo Mike's got a question for you there, Honcho.
Yeah.
The Force 2000 mobile battle bunker. Isn't that like a zombie driving a hearse?
Right. And wouldn't that be awesome?
That is beautiful. So, that is Hall of Fame quality right there. Yeah.
So we're on our way. So that's the Joe Fest Hall. It was a really good show. And the floor was great and the prices weren't ridiculous. That was my one worry, because Joe prices have gone through the roof in the last year, but the floor seemed to want to do some business, and it felt like everybody I talked to said it was a really good show. So, including our friend Aaron Dietrich, who I talked to for a minute, probably, because his booth was hopping, and I didn't want to.
He's got a mortgage to pay, brother.
Yeah.
You don't be talking to me.
Yeah, I said I'm not going to keep you busy, but great to see you. Check out that kid over there. He looks sketchy. That kind of stuff.
That's right. So. One thing I'll say about that mobile battle bunker.
Yeah.
Holds a lot of corpses.
It does, doesn't it?
A lot of corpses.
Can't wait.
Joe Colton, what'd you get in?
Oh, no.
Joe Colton, you're on mute.
I got nothing this week.
Got nothing. Where'd you go last weekend?
Oh, I went to Ticonderoga.
Okay, what's up there?
It is the original set for Star Trek, like the original Star Trek show. So
that's why we were making jokes about sitting on Captain Kirk's bed, because
yes,
you had a chance to do that.
I did, and I got to talk to James Colley, who is the guy who has been spending basically his life putting it together, and he has a great relationship with Paramount and CBS, and he has been granted, he has bought, he has saved from warehouses a lot of the original series set pieces, props, and he has not been able to save everything. Actually, he told us one story that he was given literally a day to get as much of whatever was in that warehouse out, because they had rented it and the new renters were coming in Monday and it was Saturday, and he got 3 truckloads and there was probably 15 that he could have filled, and the rest of it just went to the dump. Like, he couldn't save any of it. So, but it was great. It was great to go down there, and I got Mom a shirt. So I guess I got a Star Trek original t-shirt. You
got a shirt?
Yeah, shirt.
Hope it's not a red shirt. We like Mom.
Right?
Not a red shirt. It's got Kirk and Spock and Uhura on the front, and it's original artwork that was made for original. Did he save his toupee? No.
Bill Shatner has that on his own. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But any truth to the rumor that while you were sitting on Captain Kirk's bed, that William Shatner was held back with leather restraint?
Right.
No, he wasn't there, but I found out that he loves giving the tours. So, like, when he comes to visit, I plan to get a ticket and go through the tour with William Shatner.
With Billy the Shats, all right.
Yes. And he's Canadian, I got to.
Right. Just show up. You don't need a ticket. He'll be like, "You're with me." Right?
My hair was bigger this time. I don't know what I did, but it looked very 50s and gigantic.
Anyhow.
I did the puff, and then I did the beehive thing, and then there was just hair.
Was it humid? Was it the humidity, perhaps?
Maybe, I don't know, but half of it was fake hair, so I don't think a fake hair reacts to humidity. You never know.
But if you follow Joe Colton Cosplay on Facebook, be sure to check that out, because it's like her camera vomited pictures.
I still have photos that I didn't post because I felt like I was spamming people. I was trying to do it a little at a time, so it spread out. It's
best just to do it all at once. Just boom. Just one drop.
I tried. It kept it kept racing my post. So I was like, that's it. I'm just doing 12 at a time or something. Yeah.
When Facebook or Instagram pops up and says you have posted too much,
yeah,
it's probably a sign.
When it pops up and says, Jesus, I'm tired. Stop it already.
Stop posting.
Yep.
So what I got in this week, just to move it along, Beachhead number 21.
Yeah, that one can drink.
He is.
You're ridiculous with these things.
That is blackjack right there. And I tell you what, this showed up on Tuesday on eBay, and I got it Thursday. That's how quick the turnaround was there. It was a buy it now for less than you would normally pay. And it's like, if I were going to rank it amongst the other ones in terms of quality, it might be the best one out of the 21. That is a superior buy right there. I am thrilled about this purchase, because he was pretty inexpensive, relatively speaking, and just he's great. The joints are tight. He's got his original gear. There's no paint rubs to speak of. Even his little arm thing is full. It is just a great vintage figure that I feel like I got an absolute steal, and you can see it on Instagram. I got it from Tom's Vintage Toys in Mishawaka, Indiana. So if you're in that area, check out Tom's Vintage Toys. And also, and perhaps even more importantly, I found a bag of all lime Skittles. Oh yeah, all lime.
That's the one that got kicked out, right?
Lime is the one they got rid of to make room for the far inferior green apple.
Green apple's awful.
So this is like
any kind of green apple candy is butt.
Who's the Beatle that got kicked out? Stu something?
It's Pete Best, isn't it?
Is it Pete Best? This is like a Pete Best solo album. Basically.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, I'm glad you found it.
Yeah. It's all lime, man. All lime.
I'm just going to say.
All lime all the time, baby.
I bet it wasn't the last one at the store.
It was the last one at the store.
Was it?
I would have bought more of them if there was more of them.
Man.
The last one. And I've held on to it all week because I wanted to show it up on here and have you guys look at me and like I was a crazy person.
So what happens now? Are you just going to like inhale it when we get off? Yeah.
No, I'll probably eat them tomorrow.
Have you ever shotgunned the full pack of Skittles before?
I can't say that I have. Normally, like I can't do, I'm not a young man. I can't do a whole bag of Skittles, especially a whole share size bag of Skittles. Like this is for 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, but they're all named Mike.
They are, but it's 3 or 4 different sittings at least.
Fair enough.
I get all kinds of jumpy.
Now I don't think this is a Mentos set you up kind of thing. Maybe if you dropped one into that Diet Dr. Pepper cream soda vanilla cherry.
If I could find
it. Oh.
What I got is a cherry Coke Zero tonight. So maybe that'll.
Maybe since it's a good experiment. You only got a little left. Don't finish it. Drop a lime in there, reseal it, leave it overnight. Now you've got lime Coca-Cola Zero extravaganza.
I got another one. I can just start with a fresh one in the morning.
Okay.
It's all good. But that's what we got there. Beach Party 86, growing all every day more for Beach Party 86. I hashtag it on Instagram, so be sure to follow us there and all of our social media. Like, share, and subscribe.
Absolutely.
You want to see more cool stuff like Carson's presentation from Joe Fest.
You know how he mentioned there were some projector difficulties?
Yes. Why? As a matter of fact, why don't you use that to foreshadow next week's show?
Well, after Carson, I think there was maybe a separate panel, but then there was Bobby Vala's Valaverse panel, which went really well, particularly because Bobby brought all of his own equipment.
Smart guy.
It all went real smooth. My panel did not go as smooth as hoped. So we had a little fireside chat, a little gather around the laptop, which everybody was cool about. And I left time for Q&A, and there were lots of questions. So I spent a lot of time chatting with fans, which is great because I'm a fan. But the PowerPoint that I worked on pretty damn hard really didn't get its full showing, its full debut. So next week, exclusively on the What's on Joe Mind podcast, I will be re-debuting my Joe Fest presentation, which was a pitch that I put together back when I was at Hasbro about how to celebrate the original re-release or the original release of the Real American Hero 1982 G.I. Joe. So I think it's cool. I think you'll like it, and it's I've updated a bit as it's not what I pitched then, it's how I would pitch it now. So I think you'll like it.
You can gather up in front of the computer with people you actually want in your space.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So you got as much elbow room as you want, and the screen is a good size as opposed to looking over 3 guys' shoulders to try to check out my laptop.
And some of them were probably not too fresh.
Probably not.
Some of them were probably a little too fresh.
It was late Saturday, so it's starting to get a little gamey. So we'll do that next week. So
that's next Friday on the What's on Joe Mind at TeamStream.
We could have done it this week, but Carson's stuff was 1,000,000,000% cooler. So fine.
I don't know about 1,000,000, but we promised him before it happened. So
yeah, it's fine. Well, no, it's cooler. That's fine. I don't mind being the second best out of 2, but cool.
So while you've got the floor, Mark Weber, why don't you go ahead and do your shout outs?
I'd never been to Joe Fest before. And so Ed Schumacher, who reached out to me late last year, or maybe even last summer. It's been a while. But yeah, Absolutely, I'll go. Would love to go. And I had a really good time. Everybody there was great. And it was, when I was at the last JoeCon, I didn't expect people to recognize me at all. I thought I would be a fan, and there's nothing wrong with that. I am a fan. Always have been, always will be. But it was such a good convention because I got such positive feedback from the community about thank you for your time on Joe, and we think you're great. We're sorry you're not there anymore, and all that stuff. So that was really cool. This con, it was a little different. I wasn't recognized as much because time marches on, but it became split. Half of the people who did recognize me knew that I worked at Hasbro and said, we appreciate your time, whatever. But the other half was love the What's on Joe Mind podcast. So pretty cool that, of the people who recognized me, half of them did from the podcast. And the other bit of that is probably wouldn't have got me from my voice. So I think it speaks to the power of the shift that we made to do this live and to do it on video. Because people now know, they see, an incredibly attractive guy in an ASU hat. They're like, it's probably Mark Webber. And absolutely it was. So that was all cool. And to the, I'm going to have to look up his name because I'm blanking on it. I was done with the convention Saturday night, determined to get a good meal. And so I went to this great little hamburger joint, and a guy who was leaving, just getting dinner, and then he and his wife were doing like a 3-hour drive, saw me in line and said, Mark, are you here with somebody? No, I'm just grabbing a burger. So you're welcome to sit with us if you like. Sure. And we talked Joe for, an hour and a half probably. And his wife was so patient with him and I. So we had a good talk, and big Braves fan. So now he's hooked up on Eternal Baseball. Nothing better than that. So had a great time
right there.
Yeah. So to Ed, and then to, I'd never, as I said, never met Ron Rudat or his wife, Virginia. She goes by Ginny before, and spent a lot of time with them, traveling down and then traveling back. And they're every bit as nice as you've always heard. So it was great to spend some time with them. And I appreciate Ron giving me double autographs at the end in the Augusta airport when we were waiting for our flight. So I picked my spot, but it was great to meet them and spend some time with them as well.
Hey man, you paid twice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joe Colton, shout outs.
This week I'm going to shout out to Maggie, who helped me bake cookies.
Because what happens when you try to bake yourself?
Last
time department is called.
No. Last time they had a styrofoam texture.
Joe, you are a good cook.
Right? I know. So
why can't you do this?
So chocolate chip cookies are my kryptonite. I don't know what I'm doing, but like the last time I made them, Wes ate them, but he was like, they have like a styrofoam texture, something.
It doesn't matter what comes after styrofoam. It's good.
Did you make
something right?
Did you make him cookies before the wedding ever?
No.
So he didn't know. Okay.
But I made like mini cheesecakes, and those turned out amazing. I don't know what it is about chocolate chip cookies. They're like my nemesis, and I like really want to be able to make them. It's awful. People have given me recipes. I've tried. I've burnt the outside. I've made them so dry. They're hard as rock. I've cooked them where they're like golden on top.
They put the recipe on the bag of chips.
I have tried that recipe. I've also made it so they're hard on the inside and like squishy on the outside. I don't know how I did that.
That's hard to do.
That's amazing.
That's like a chemistry experiment.
So we got to shout out to Maggie, and who else? We got to get rolling.
Wes for actually eating the cookie and telling me honestly and not dying or just saying that they taste like chalk. It's fine. They actually taste like it.
So brave.
And then my parents who got their second vaccine. So Canada, as you guys probably know, are very short on vaccines, and they were actually going to get their second one July 19th. But the doctor's office got a supply in of Moderna and asked them if they wanted to get it earlier. And if so, they had to come like the next day. And so they went in the next day at noon and got their second vaccine. And so we've got a like 2-week window now where they have to like be very, very careful because they're over 70. So
yes. That all you got?
That's all I got. Oh,
okay.
and to the peanut gallery and you guys and our fourth man who moderates the peanut gallery.
Are you trying to steal my weekly?
Yes.
Direct
Yes. I'm stealing it because you're making fun of me and my cookies.
You know what? I'd do it again. Got no problem with that.
But we're also pumping up the courage of your husband, right?
He's
my courage.
EWA Hall of Famer.
It takes a lot of courage to continually fail at making cookies and keep trying.
2-time EWA champion, Wes Mercer.
The courage of Wes Whitlock is so prominent that I think Jeremy Renner is going to cosplay as Wes. That's what I think is coming up.
Is he tall enough?
No.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Anyways.
Your shout-outs?
My shout-outs, of course. The fourth man of the What's on Joe My Team, Ragtime Rob. Oli the Rock Irizarry. Also to our fine sponsor, Kokomo Toys. Thank you for all the help you give us for getting the show out and distributed. And it's always fun to talk with Todd about what we want to do next as far as shouting from the rooftops. Give a quick shout to our good friend at All the Cool Stuff, sponsor of the Joe Colton Swear Jar, Dave Tree. Thank you for your continued support as well. Give a shout out to all the folks watching live. Give a shout out to all the folks watching on recording. We appreciate you just as much. Please, if you got a second, if you're watching us on YouTube, go down, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and give us a reaction to the video now, and then pop over to YouTube when you're done and subscribe to us there, because that helps us out. If you got us covered on both bases, that is a big deal as far as us getting into the algorithms and getting to where more people can find us and see us. We really appreciate all the help that you give us in that regard as it is. Make sure that you leave a comment, and not just a comment in the live, comment down there, and hit all the links that we've got in there if you're interested in James's book or the Marauder Kickstarter or Roadblock from Mezco. All those links are down there. So be sure to check them out so that we get them. They list us as the source of those things, and that really gets us distributed through YouTube really well. Mark Weber, you have a thought?
Real quick, almost forgot. I got one custom item from a fan that is separate from my JoeCon haul. I will show it next week. It's incredible. So I want to give a shout out. He's actually in the comments to White Vegeta or Vegeta, either way. Vegeta. Well, you say Vegeta, I say. Anyway, no, I don't. Anyway, it's great, and I'll show it next week.
Okay. Want to give a shout out to our guest Carson Mataxis of 3DJoes, who is here with us today, giving us his just awesome panel from Joe Fest. And of course, he's welcome back anytime. If you missed the beginning hour of today's show, you need to go back and watch the first hour of today's show. It really is, I think, one of the best live streams we've done, one of the best team streams we've done since we've been doing them. But that's it. That's all we got. Remember to exercise your freedom of choice and choose to protect yourself and your neighbors by getting fully vaccinated. That is 2 shots, 1 in each arm. Go get it done, because we haven't beat a pandemic until everybody is there, and only half of the adults in the U.S. are fully vaccinated. That is not acceptable. It's not going to get done. We are going to be heading towards more mask mandates and lockdowns potentially in the fall if we don't get that number up. So make your appointment if you haven't gotten this done already, and please, please, please vaccinate. For my co-hosts Mark Weber and Joe Colton, I'm Mike Irizarry. Be sure to tune in next week at 9 p.m. For the What's on Joe Line team stream. We love you all. Have a great night.